What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. In this video, you and I are gonna talk about why your diet is not working. And specifically, I'm gonna discuss the top 3 most common reasons why people are not losing weight when they think they're doing every single thing right. So I'm gonna go do jujitsu right now. After that, we're gonna get in the video. Let's have some fun. All right, we're back from jujitsu, and now we're gonna talk about the top 3 reasons why your diet is not working, even if you are doing everything right. Now, if you're new to the channel, first and foremost, make sure you subscribe to the channel, like the video if you haven't already. You'll notice there are some blank spots. I do these like Mad Lib style things where I will leave out the word that is important so that you watch the whole video, all right? Don't skip around, watch the whole way through. I think it's gonna help you a lot. Now, the last thing I say before we dive in, if you're not on my email list, get on my email list right now. The link is in the description. Every single video, I pick 10 people who are on my email list to get a free month in my inner circle. New workouts every single month, training programs, nutrition guidelines, group community. You get a month free. I'm picking 10 people to win that if you get on my email list. If you're already on my email list, you're already entered to win. If you're not on my email list, get on right now, and I will email the 10 winners directly. With that said, let's get into it. Before we dive into number 1, the real first question that needs to be answered is how do you lose weight, right? And if you've been following me for a while, you know the only way to lose fat specifically is to be in a calorie deficit. It doesn't matter if you're doing keto, doesn't matter if you're doing Weight Watchers, doesn't matter if you do intermittent fasting, doesn't fucking matter which diet you follow. If you are not in a calorie deficit, then you're not going to lose body fat. Now, the next most obvious question from here is, if losing fat is as simple as a calorie deficit, then why isn't everyone shredded? Right? If it's that simple, then everyone should be able to do it. And here's the truth. Number 1, everyone can do it, but number 2, simple does not mean easy. This is a very important distinction to make, and I think logically y'all know it, but whenever I talk about fat loss being simple, people often get mad and they'll say, it's not easy. And I was like, I never fucking said it was easy. The methodology is very simple. Eat fewer calories than you burn. Eat less, move more. It is very simple. But in practice, it can be very difficult. And I have a whole host of videos on these topics and how to make it easier and how to make it more sustainable. If you haven't been on my channel, scroll through, make sure you subscribe if you haven't already, because I have tons of videos already discussing practical ways to make it easier and more sustainable. But it is not easy. I can just help you make it easier, but also understanding that the process is very simple. And the reason it's important for you to know the process is very simple is because there are a lot of marketers out there and charlatans and people saying like, you need this supplement in order to activate the fat burning receptors or whatever the fuck it is. And the more you realize that they're horseshit liars and it's not true and that all you need to do is be in a calorie deficit consistently over time, the more you truly understand and believe that, the less you're going to be swayed by these marketers and charlatans and supplement salesmen and all these people who are just trying to get a quick buck and take your hard-earned money rather than telling you the truth. So let's get into it. The number 1 reason, and by the way, these are not in any order of importance, these are just like the top 3 most important reasons why your diet might not be working. Now, number 1, your calories are too low. And this is gonna spark a lot of questions. A lot of people are like, oh my God, am I not eating enough? Am I in starvation mode? I wanna talk about this. When I say your calories are too low, I'm not saying that you are actually eating so few calories that your body is somehow making fat out of nothing. This is often what's referred to as, this is gonna fall, as starvation mode, right? And many people have said that starvation mode is when you eat so few calories that your body thinks it's starving, so it starts saving up body fat so you actually can't lose weight and sometimes even gain weight. That is horseshit. It's a myth. It's not real. And just as a quick practical example, how many starving people, like legitimately starving people in the world are fat because of starvation mode? It doesn't exist. And people will say, well, when you're not eating enough, your body like increases cortisol, which is the stress hormone. So you're really, really stressed and you're in starvation mode and you start storing up fat. I'm like, okay, so let's logically apply this to the literally most stressed people in the world who are also not eating enough. I don't know, prisoners of war, for example. Very stressful situation and not being fed enough. No one comes out of being a prisoner of war overweight. They're all very, very underweight despite being very stressed and being underfed. And I tell you this because the idea of starvation mode being that if you don't eat enough, you're gonna store more fat, that's false physiologically. No one got fat from eating too little. It makes literally 0 sense. With that being said though, how could you be struggling to lose weight if your calories are too low? What's going on is a lot of people approach fat loss from the perspective of they're trying to eat as little as possible so they can lose weight as quickly as possible. That's their mindset. I want to eat as little as I can so that I can lose weight as quickly as I can. And the issue here is they want to lose weight as quickly as they possibly can, so then they eat as little as they possibly can. That is a recipe for failure. And this is why the vast majority of dieters fail, is because they're trying to lose weight very, very, very quickly. And when you try and lose weight quickly and you substantially reduce your caloric intake, well, what's gonna happen? You're gonna be fucking starving. Your energy is gonna go down. Your libido is gonna go down. Oftentimes you'll start losing your hair. Women can lose their menstrual cycle. You'll start losing strength, start losing muscle. You won't be able to go out and enjoy yourself in social situations. It is a completely unsustainable lifestyle. So if you want to have a more sustainable approach to weight loss, you have to understand it's not about losing weight as quickly as possible, it's about losing weight as sustainably as possible. And when you want to lose weight as sustainably as possible, you want to eat as much as you possibly can while still losing weight slowly. Sustainable fat loss is not about eating as little as possible. It's about eating as much as you can while still being in a calorie deficit. And that can be what's difficult to play with. What I really want you to remember here as well is when people are trying to eat very, very little so that they can lose weight as quickly as they can, they often go into the I need to be perfect. And they feel like they need to eat perfectly. Every meal has to be the perfect meal. Their calories have to be perfect. They can't eat even a slight bit above their calorie allotment. And a lot of people think they have to be perfect because the more perfect they are, the more quickly they're gonna lose weight. Again, the more quick you lose, generally speaking, the less sustainable it is. And one thing that's important to remember about perfect isn't what we're looking for. Perfect is prison, if you really think about it. If you have to be perfect with your nutrition, how long can you be perfect with it before you have to go out to dinner with your friends and family? And I don't mean have to, before you get to go out to dinner with your friends and family. How long can you be perfect before you want to have just a lunch that you enjoy without tracking your calories? How long can you really be perfect? And if in your mind perfection is the only way, then as soon as you go off of perfection, then you're gonna quit altogether. And that's why perfect is a prison, because you feel like if you're not being there, then you're just done altogether. Don't aim for perfect, aim for good enough. Consistently good is infinitely better than inconsistently perfect. And that's how a lot of people approach their nutrition. When they're inconsistently perfect, maybe they'll be perfect for a week, 2 weeks, or a month, then they'll feel really deprived. Then they end up going the other way and they binge and they gain all the weight back. This is why people have that yo-yo cycle. I would rather you be consistently good, 80% consistent for a year, 2 years, 3 years, have a very sustainable lifestyle and diet, than be inconsistently perfect going back and forth and yo-yoing. So please, please remember, if you're taking your calories way too low in the hopes of trying to lose weight as quickly as possible, this is one of the reasons why you're not gonna be able to lose weight, because you will lose weight when you're being perfect and when your calories are super low, but after a while you won't be able to sustain it, and then you binge eat and you fall off track, you completely go the other direction, and then you get in this cycle of lose weight, gain it back, lose weight, gain it back, lose weight, gain it back, and you feel like nothing is working. Ironically, when you do this, you often start to remember, oh, well, I only lost weight when I only ate 1,200 calories, 1,000 calories, 800 calories. So then you convince yourself, oh, the only way I lose weight is when I starve myself. But you weren't patient enough and you didn't realize if you ate slightly more calories than that and you lost weight a little bit more slowly and you were okay with that slower weight loss, it would have been far more sustainable in the long run, and you would realize you don't need to starve yourself, you just need to eat more and be patient with slower weight loss. Now, for number 2, this is literally the exact opposite of number 1, your calories are too high. All right, so number 1, your calories are too low. Number 2, your calories are too high. Now the reality is, if you're gaining weight, then definitely your calories are too high. And I don't mean gaining weight on one individual day or even during a week. For example, if you're going through your menstrual cycle and it's your period, you will gain weight very often leading up to your menstrual cycle, and that's not fat. That's just normal. I mean, if you're looking at your weight over the course of 2, 3, 4, 5 months and you're consistently gaining weight, your calories are too high. Or even if you're not losing weight at all for 2, 3, 4, 5 months, your calories are too high. Now, there are a number of reasons why your calories would be too high, and I want to discuss each of them now. The first and most common reason is because you're just not tracking them. So just got to put this out there. If you've never actually tracked your calories, most people who swear up and down they're eating the right number of calories have never actually tracked them. They've never gotten a food scale. They've never actually counted every single calorie. They try and go off of memory, and research is unbelievably clear that if you're struggling to lose weight, odds are you are underestimating how many calories you're eating. And actually in reverse, for people who struggle to gain weight, they overestimate how many calories they're eating. It's not malicious, it's not lying, it's just you are probably not tracking accurately, especially if you've never tracked. So I would recommend for 1 week, get a food scale, weigh and measure every single thing you eat, track every single calorie, every sip of a drink, everything you put in your mouth, track it. That's gonna be number one, the most important for you to weigh, or for you to see, am I actually tracking and am I actually eating in a calorie deficit? Now, along with this, the next reason that people often struggle to eat the right amount of calories when they're eating too much is because they are perfect during the week, and then on the weekends, they let everything go to shit. And this actually goes back to number one, where perfect isn't actually good. Perfect is like being in a prison. People feel like Monday through Thursday, they've got to be perfect. They've got to be on point. They can't go out to lunch with colleagues. They have their lettuce, they have their carrots, they have their meals that they don't actually enjoy. When people say, hey, come out for a drink after work, or hey, do you want to do this? No, I've got to be perfect. I've got to be perfect. So Monday, they're working super hard. They're being perfect, right? They're only having lettuce, only having celery, only having carrots. Tuesday, same thing, perfect. I can do this, I can do this. Wednesday, okay, it's starting to get difficult. I've already turned down a couple lunches. Like everyone else is enjoying all their food and I'm not able to. It's weighing on you, but you still do it. Thursday comes, oh my God, just haven't had any food you've enjoyed in several days. Like you're getting really frustrated because you're losing energy, you're getting tired, you're not able to eat your favorite foods. So then by the time Friday comes, you're doing well in the morning, but you just cannot wait for Friday night. Friday night, you're gonna go out, you're gonna enjoy, you've worked so hard this week, so you're gonna go out, you're gonna let loose on Friday. Friday night comes and you let fucking loose. You eat like a fucking asshole. You have a whole pizza, you have a bunch of beers, you get back home, you have Entenmann's donuts, you have a box of Cinnamon Toast Crunch, and now you feel like shit and you feel like you ruined everything. And then what happens is most people will be like, oh, well, I already ruined it. So then Saturday comes, they're like, I might as well just like keep eating what I want, because by the time Monday comes, I'm gonna have to be perfect again. I'm gonna have to be strict. I'm gonna have to eat lettuce and carrots and celery and only that. So then Saturday and Sunday are essentially a huge binge fest as well, which means that basically like 60% of the week is perfect and then 40% of the week is not good at all. But it's not like people don't realize how much damage they can actually do over that like Friday night, Saturday, and Sunday, and they can actually completely stalemate, if not reverse their progress, and actually end up going the other way because they're binging, because they feel like they're gonna have to starve themselves Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday morning. So if you are looking at the week as, all right, perfect during the week and then the weekends are my free time, or if you're being so good during the week that you're so overly restricted that you just feel like you have to let loose on the weekends, this is a big, big problem. And this is probably, aside from people just not tracking their calories at all, this is like the next biggest issue that people have, where like even when the people who are tracking, they're only tracking during the week and then they don't track their calories on the weekends and they're too rigid during the week. This is one of the reasons why I'm not a big fan of like, okay, just have like one cheat meal or one cheat day, because what'll happen is people will put that cheat meal on like Friday night or Saturday night, or that one cheat day on the weekend. And people have no idea how much they can actually eat in a single meal or in a single day. And it's gargantuan, especially if you've been restricting yourself the entire week leading up to it. This is why if you want to have a chocolate bar on a Tuesday, you could have a fucking chocolate bar on a Tuesday. And it's actually really funny because a lot of people I've worked with over the years, they'll be like, oh my God, like, I don't know, Sue at the office, like she has a chocolate bar every day, but she's like so skinny. And they're like, she could just eat whatever she wants. So she's like, she has a 220 calorie chocolate bar every day. It's not a big fucking deal. Like, that's not much. Do you see what she has for breakfast? Do you see what she has for lunch? Do you see what she has for dinner? Do you see if she's going to the gym? How's her weekends look? You look at her having that one chocolate bar every day and think that means that Sue can eat whatever the fuck she wants, when in reality is she's just more moderate with her nutrition. She allows herself to have that one chocolate bar, whereas maybe you say no to that chocolate bar, but then Friday night comes and you have like 6 slices of pizza, a whole box of Cinnamon Toast Crunch, a bunch of Entenmann's donuts, several beers, and now you've multiplied what Sue had by like 10x in total calories, which can actually really hurt you during the week. So I would strongly recommend, rather than having a cheat meal or a cheat day and trying to be super perfect during the week, be more moderate, be more flexible with your approach. Rather than trying to just white knuckle yourself the whole way through the week, if you want something, have a little bite here, have a little bite there. And many people, when I say this, are like, I'm all or nothing, I'm all or nothing. You're actually not all or nothing. It's a huge excuse. When people say I'm an all or nothing type person, I'm either gonna eat all of the pizza or none of the pizza, what you're really saying is that you view pizza as a bad food. And so when you eat pizza, you've figured you've lost all your progress anyway, you're ruining it, so you might as well eat the entire thing because you're not going to allow yourself to have pizza after this. So when people say they're all or nothing, I always laugh because you're picking and choosing what you're all or nothing in. I guarantee you're not all or nothing in literally every area of your life. You're not all or nothing with your family, you're not all or nothing with work, you're not all or nothing with so many things, but you pick and choose certain things that you've now said you're all or nothing about. When in reality, it's actually just how you're perceiving the food. And when you perceive that pizza, for example, as bad, well, yeah, then you're gonna eat all of it because one bite and it's over. You've ruined all your progress already, so you might as well have the whole pizza, and then you won't allow yourself to have it until you've restricted yourself enough until, boom, you wanna binge on it again. So remember, it's not about being perfect, it's about being good enough consistently. And that can include little bits here and there throughout the week rather than restricting yourself the entire time. Now, the next reason you might be eating more calories than you think you are is because you are adding your calories burned from exercise back into your nutrition. And this is one of the biggest mistakes that I see people making. They have their fitness watch, just keeps falling, probably shouldn't be holding it. They have their fitness watch, whether it's a Garmin, whether it's a Whoop, whether it's an Apple Watch, whatever it is you have. And by the way, this is a Garmin and I really like it, but I removed the calories burned from my screen, so I can't see it. I don't even want to look at it because they are inaccurate. Most fitness watches and fitness tools are upwards of 50% inaccurate in terms of when they're telling you how many calories you burned and how many you should add back in. There are very few people who actually should be adding calories back in from exercise, and these are elite athletes. And not just any elite athlete. Like, I wouldn't tell a baseball player in left field to add their calories back in because they're not moving that much. Like, even though they could be a professional baseball player, odds are I'm not adding calories back in from their exercise because they're not doing that much and their workouts are not super high intensity and they're not burning tons of calories. However, if I'm speaking with a marathon runner or a swimmer, someone who is actually burning, or an ultra athlete, whatever it is, someone who's burning a lot of calories on a daily basis, that's who I will have add in their calories because they actually need it in order to perform and not have serious muscle breakdown and other issues as a result of it. But for everyday average people, myself included, I do not add in my calories back from exercise because number one, whatever they're telling me is wrong. And number two is I'm just not burning as much as I think I am. Most people are not. Most people, oh my God, I did this Barry's boot camp or this Orange Theory class. I must have burned like 1,000 calories. It was honestly probably like 250, maybe 300. And you shouldn't add that back in. Don't add the calories burned back in. I know it sucks, and it sucks to hear that, but if you think that you should be losing weight and you're not, and you're adding your calories back in, that could very well be why. Okay, now, the next reason why you might be struggling to lose weight, especially if you are eating more calories than you think you are, sneaky calories. And this essentially has to do with tracking them, but I want to tell you a story. This is actually one of my first ever online clients. His name is Jerry. Jerry, if you're watching, I hope you're doing well. Jerry is a firefighter. He's one of my first ever online coaching clients. And he's one of the guys who, if I told him to run through a brick wall, he'd be like, okay, cool. Like, he would have done it no matter what. Anything I said, he did it. And when we first started working together, he was losing weight relatively quickly, sustainably, about a pound and a half every week. It was working great. And all of a sudden, boom, he hit a standstill. Wasn't losing weight anymore. You know, he's from Boston. He's like, I don't know what's going on. Like, I'm following the calories. It's not fucking working. What's going on? And I was racking my brains. I was trying to figure out what was going on because I very much believed that he was doing exactly what I said to do. And all of a sudden, he just stopped losing weight. He wasn't gaining it back. It was just at a standstill for a little bit too long, for like 2 to 3 months. So eventually, what I had him do was I had him take pictures of every single thing that he was eating because I wanted to see exactly what he was putting into his mouth. And one of the things that he was taking pictures of were his coffee, and specifically his iced coffee. Now, again, he's from Boston. I grew up in Boston as well. So he takes a picture of his Dunkin' Donuts. And it's a large Dunkin' Donuts coffee, and he's having about 3 of these per day. If it was black, that wouldn't be an issue. But I noticed his iced coffee was very white. And I said, oh, what milk do you put in there? And he said, cream. And I said, have you been tracking the cream in that drink? And he said, oh. he completely forgot to track the cream that he was putting in his coffee. And when we added that up, about 3 iced coffees a day, and they were like very white coffees, which meant a lot of cream, he was probably having an extra 1,000 calories a day just from cream. And he wasn't lying. He wasn't saying he wasn't deliberately leaving that out. It was just, oops, I missed that, even though he was tracking all of his other calories. And there are many places this happens. This happens very often with something like peanut butter. People say, oh, it's like 2 tablespoons, and they'll just like scoop out what they think is 2 tablespoons. If you've never weighed an actual serving size of peanut butter, please do. And I apologize in advance because you're probably gonna cry. A serving size of peanut butter is minuscule, so the amount for 200 calories is tiny. Another place this happens very often with parents is when if your young kids are eating and you happen to grab a bite off of their plate, right? These are called LBTs, licks, bites, and tastes, where maybe you're cleaning up the dishes from dinner and you see like, I don't know, there's a couple chicken nuggets, boom, you put it in your mouth. Maybe you're going and you're just gonna grab a handful of cashews like Mitch, my videographer, just told me he did the other day. Mitch was literally just telling me in between one of these takes, he was saying that he was tracking his calories and he was 800 calories off because he didn't realize about all the handfuls of cashews that he was having. It is so easy to miss these licks, bites, and tastes, these LBTs. So it goes back to the first point in this section. If you haven't tracked your calories, do it. Track every single thing. And when I'm working with a client or inner circle member, I'll say, I want you to track every sip. I don't care if it's an ice cube or water, track it. Not because you need to be tracking how much water you're having from a caloric perspective, but because I want you to get in the habit of tracking every single thing you put in your mouth. You don't have to do this forever. It doesn't have to be for a forever thing. I don't track my calories right now, but I've done it in the past, and I do it once a year or so for like a week just to remind myself, oh, this is what a portion size looks like. Oh, this is how many times I've been going to the pantry today. I didn't even realize that I had this snack and this snack and this snack, and that obviously that added up to well over my caloric intake for the day. So if you're eating too much, pay attention, make sure you're tracking those licks, bites, and tastes, make sure you're being aware of those sneaky calories, and make sure you're not adding back in calories burned from exercise. Now, this last point, I think this is the most important point, which is why I made it the last. Do not skip. Once I tell you what this one is, if you turn this video off, I'm gonna lose my shit, and it's actually probably the most important one that you need to hear, so pay attention the whole way through. It is working, but you aren't being patient enough, all right? Now, the reality is there are some people who are being overly restrictive and then yo-yoing as a result of it. There are other people who are eating too much and they just don't realize it, and that's why it's not working. This one is for the people who are being very consistent in a calorie deficit, following it appropriately, but they feel like it's not working. And the phrase feel like is the most important phrase of that, right? So, for example, what I'm talking about here is very often people will feel like, well, I'm just not losing weight quickly enough. And I'll always ask, why? Why is it not quickly enough? And they'll be like, well, you know, I weighed this on day 1 and now on day 4, my weight fluctuated up. And so I've gained like 4 pounds. It's like, that says nothing about your fat loss. It says everything about your weight fluctuations. I have an entire video all about weight fluctuations. We'll put it in the description of this video if you want to watch it and understand the science of weight fluctuations and how they work. But for example, for all of my Inner Circle members, one thing I do is we have a weight tracking function in the Inner Circle app, okay? And we make it very clear, you are not to compare your weigh-ins day to day or even week to week. You compare your weigh-ins month to month. Right? So your weight is going to fluctuate. It's normal. Your weight is going to spike up for any number of reasons. It's going to go down for any number of reasons, far outside of simply fat gain and fat loss. So instead of comparing your weight on June 1 to your weight on June 2nd, you weigh June 1, June 2, June 3, June 4. You weigh every day, but you compare month to month. So you compare your weight on June 1st to your weight on July 1st. You compare your weight on July 1st to your weight on August 1st. You compare June 2nd to July 2nd, July 2nd to August 2nd. You compare month to month. And this is very, very important because throughout the month, you're gonna have all of these fluctuations. Guarantee every single one of you watching this has seen weight fluctuation charts. You've never seen a single one that just goes like this, just straight down. They all go like this, but over time, the trend is either down, straight across, or up. In the Inner Circle app, we show the trend line so you can see exactly which way it's going. But if you're comparing your weight day to day or week to week or even every 2 weeks, you're going to be having some serious errors in your calculations, and you can be tricked into thinking that it's not working when it actually is. So understanding it's supposed to fluctuate like this. I've had clients that have their weight fluctuates up and down 12 pounds on any given day. That's not weird. So that's why you want to track the trend over time, month to month, so you can say, okay, cool, on June 1, I weighed this, and then on July 1, I weighed this, and on August 1, I weighed this. And maybe in between you hit all these fluctuations, but you can see that trend going down over time, so you know it's working. The other thing to remember here is that oftentimes people think like, I should be losing more weight. And this makes me fucking lose it. Why? Why should you be losing more weight? Is it because Carol at the office is losing weight more quickly, doing what she's doing? Is it because someone on Instagram said you should be losing X amount of weight? Is it because you just made up in your head you should be losing more weight? Did your doctor say you should be losing more weight? There are many reasons why, but I want to be very clear here. A really great rate of progress, that was a weird rate, a great rate of progress is anywhere between 0.5 pound to 2 pounds per week on average. And that on average part is the most important part I'm going to say. What that means is anywhere between 0.5 pound to 2 pounds. And when people hear this, that floats into their ear and they just lose the 0.5 pound part and they only think 2 pounds. The 0.5 pound part, people are just like, oh, then I should lose 2 pounds. Why? That's a range. Maybe it's 1/4 pound. Maybe it's 2.5 pounds. It depends on the individual and how much body fat you have. But when I say 0.5 pound a week, if you're losing 0.5 pound a week on average, and then you're upset because it's not 2 pounds, that's fucking stupid, because I included 0.5 pound a week on average in the really great rate of weight loss, okay? So when you're doing this, again, you have to look at it from an average perspective. So if you lose 0.5 pound 1 week, or let's say on week 1 you lose 2 pounds. Oftentimes you lose more on the first week. You lose 2 pounds the first week. The second week you lose 1 pound. The third week you gain a pound back, right? Fluctuation, whatever it is. You are still down an average now of over 0.5 pound per week thus far. You have to look at the total time you've been doing it and then take the average weight loss per week. You don't look at it every single week and be like, okay, well, I lost 2 pounds this week, 1 pound this week, 1 pound this week, and I gained a pound this week, so it's not working. That's not how it works. At that point, you've been going for 4 weeks, so you look at the average of 4 weeks. If you've been going for 8 weeks, you look at the average of 8 weeks. Most people, when they look at it on a daily or weekly basis, they think they should still be losing just every single day, every single week, and that's not how it works. You take the average over a long period of time. Now, I already mentioned this, but I want to hit on it again. If you are comparing your weight loss to someone else's weight loss, your shit is broken. Your weight loss has nothing to do with Carol at the office. Your weight loss has nothing to do with Kyle at the office. Your weight loss has nothing to do with Peter, your uncle. Your weight loss has nothing to do with your mom or your sister or your friends. Nothing. Literally nothing. And unless you are literally eating every single meal, every single day, every single bite of food with someone else, then you don't know what they're putting in their body or what they're not putting in their body. You have no idea. I literally had someone on my Instagram say, I have some friends who are taking Ozempic who are losing weight much faster than me. I'm not taking Ozempic and I feel really bad that I feel like I should be losing weight more quickly. And I'm like, that is so fucking ignorant. And I'm gonna explain why. I don't say that mean, I say that just because it's true. Imagine if I said, hey, all of my friends are driving Ferraris to work and I'm walking to work. And I said that I felt really discouraged because they were getting to work faster than me. You'd be like, well, that's fucking stupid. They're driving Ferraris and you're walking. Of course they're gonna get there faster than you. So if someone is taking a weight loss drug or an anabolic steroid, then obviously they're gonna probably lose weight more quickly than you. Or there could be a number of different factors. Maybe they're restricting way more than you, so they're gonna lose way more quickly in the beginning. But just because they're losing more quickly in the beginning doesn't mean they're gonna sustain it for as long, right? So a lot of people will do things like keto or these really restrictive diets that like are very hard to maintain long term, but they're very restrictive in the short term. So people will lose 10, 15, 20 pounds in the first month doing that, and their friends will be like, oh my God, they're losing weight way more quickly than me. Maybe I should do that. And I'm always like, give it 2 to 3 months. Stick with this, and then let's see what happens. And every single time, within 6 months, they gain the weight back. And the person is glad that they didn't do what they did, because it's so easy in the short term to be like, oh my God, Kyle is losing weight way more quickly than me. Like, I wanna do what Kyle is doing. Like, hold on, give it a few months, stick with what you're doing consistently. I bet it's actually gonna play out better for you in the long run, because you're not trying to lose weight as quickly as possible. You're trying to do it as sustainably as possible. So please stop comparing your weight loss to anyone else's weight loss and only focus on you. Now, the last thing to think about here though is I do not want you comparing your weight loss now to your weight loss another time. That is also irrelevant for a number of reasons. Number one, a lot of people will be like, I don't know, they're 40, 50, 60, and they'll come to me and they'll be like, well, when I was 22, I lost weight so much more easily and I could eat whatever I want. And I'm always like, when you were 22, you probably had far fewer responsibilities than you do right now. Probably you spent, I would guess, hours being able to work out on a weekly, if not daily basis. And you probably were, if you were younger and maybe in college, walking all over campus, you were moving so much more. Now as an adult, often lifestyle factors impact how much you move, and you're probably not moving nearly as much either. So if you're comparing your 60-year-old self to your 20-year-old self, that is fucking stupid. If you're comparing your 30-year-old self to your 12-year-old self, that is fucking stupid. And you also have to remember, and this is very, very important, a lot of people will look at when they lost weight very quickly. And they'll be like, well, that means that's what I gotta do then, because that's when I lost weight really quickly. And one thing that's always interested me is gambling. I've had gamblers in my family. Some people in my family have lost everything due to gambling. I've been very interested in the psychology of gambling. And when you look at the brain response from a gambler who almost won to a gambler who actually won, the brain response is almost exactly the same. Which is why, if you have anyone in your family, or maybe even yourself, who's struggled with gambling, a very common phrase gamblers will use is, whether it's at the slots, whether it's at the horse track, whatever it is, I almost won, I almost won, I almost won. And they'll use that over and over to fuel giving more money and to fuel that cycle of continuing to gamble. I almost won, I was so close. That's what they say all the time. And this is what I think people do with their weight loss. They think, well, when was I successful? Oh, when I lost weight quickly this time, when I lost weight quickly this time, when I lost weight quickly this time. And I always ask, like, well, how come you have to lose the weight again? They're like, well, because then I went off track. Well, if you went off track, then you lost. It didn't actually work for you, right? Like that's losing the gambling. You're only thinking about how you almost got to your goal, because the goal isn't to lose weight, the goal is to lose it and keep it off. If you can lose it, but then you gain it back, you've lost. So rather than thinking about what caused you to lose weight very quickly early on, how about we start thinking about what is going to cause you to lose weight sustainably now and allow you to keep it off forever? And very often, it's the exact opposite of what you did before. If you're taking out all of your favorite foods, if you're not allowed to have carbs, you're not allowed to have fats, you're not allowed to have this, you're not allowed to have that, any diet that does not allow you to have a certain food is not the diet that you want to follow. Unless, I don't know, you're allergic to a certain food, like cool, that's fine, but that's not because it's the diet, it's just because you are not able to have that food and still be healthy, right? So any diet, like if your diet doesn't allow you to have chips and salsa, that's the wrong fucking diet. If your diet doesn't allow you to have cake, that's the wrong fucking diet. If the diet makes you feel guilty for enjoying some of your favorite foods in moderation, that is the wrong fucking diet. You need to find a diet that you can enjoy over the long term. And yes, the vast majority should be whole, minimally processed, fresh foods, lots of lean proteins, lots of fruits and vegetables, lots of fiber. That should be the vast majority. But being able to sporadically enjoy your favorite foods here and there is unbelievably important, sort of like that woman at the office who can have a chocolate bar every single day, and that helps her keep her on track while she still gets to enjoy some of her favorite foods. All right, so these are the top 3 reasons why your diet hasn't been working. I hope it was helpful. If it was, please give the video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you don't already. Make sure you get on my email list if you want to enter to win a free month in the Inner Circle. I'll be picking 10 people on my email list to win. The link is in the description. And now we're actually going to announce people who won a free month in the Inner Circle from a previous video, and we're going to do some Instagram Q&A. Let's get into it. Okay, first announcing the Inner Circle winners. We have got Deborah Jackson 9298, Alyssa O 3152, and S Scott 8891. You have all won a free month in the Inner Circle. Congratulations. I've messaged you with instructions on how to get that free month. And if you are new here, every single video I pick 3 people who subscribe to the channel, like the video, and leave a comment to win a free month in the Inner Circle. So if you have not done that yet, subscribe, like, leave a comment, and you'll be entered to win a free month in the Inner Circle. Now we're doing some Instagram Q&A. 2 questions. The first question today is from Strong Girls Inc. And she asked, can you please open a PT mentorship program? I don't talk about it very much, but I have one. It's called the Online Fitness Business Mentorship. I've been running it for a number of years now, I believe since 2018 or 2019 with my buddy Mike Vacanti. And what I really want to make clear about the mentorship, number one, if you want to join, the link is in the description of this video, but this is not a get-rich-quick program. And so if you're looking for like how to get more leads so you can make more money and scale it, like this is not a how to become a millionaire. There's nothing wrong with becoming a millionaire. I think it can be a wonderful tool, but I've found the best fits for our program are for people who really want to become a great coach, because the majority of our content and courses within the program are how to do program design, how to understand nutrition for your clients, how to understand behavioral psychology, how to speak with your clients, how to set up your system so they're organized, and how to get back on time with your clients and communicate with them appropriately. There are also courses and discussions around how to build your business, how to scale your business, how to make it more efficient, more effective so you can make more money. But generally speaking, the people who come into the program being like, oh, I want to be a coach so I can be a millionaire, they don't really fit in well. Whereas the people who join the program being like, I want to become a better coach so I can help people and then also make more money, that's really where we get the best fit. So if that sounds like you, and if you want to be able to become a better coach, and if you want to be better with your clients and help them get better results, and you also want to grow your business to make more money so you can give more to charity and so you can provide for your family and so you can just be more comfortable and solve the money problem and not have that be an issue, then this would definitely make sense for you. So if you'd like to join, the link is in the description. We would love to have you. And if you have any questions, feel free to shoot Mike and I an email and be able to answer that for you. Now, the next question, this one is from NM Recovery, and she asked, is it possible to build muscle without eating enough protein, or is it just harder? This is a really good question. As probably everyone who's watched any fitness content knows nowadays, protein is very, very important. And I actually think it's, in some ways, it's overemphasized, especially within the science-based community. They'll say things like you need 2 grams per pound of muscle or 2 grams per pound of your body weight, which is just, it's too much. You don't need that much. So to answer this question, the reality is when you're just starting out, when you're brand new to strength training, you can get away with not enough protein. You can get away with it and still build muscle. And when you first start out, and by first start out, I usually mean within the first 6 months or so of training, you could under-eat protein and still build muscle. But it's definitely not optimal, and that is gone after about the first 6 months, 1 year max of training. Once you've maxed out what's called your newbie gains and you are now becoming more of an intermediate lifter, you need enough protein in order to build muscle. It's not that it's just harder, it's that it's physiologically impossible to build more muscle past that newbie stage if you're under eating on protein. So how much protein do you actually need? Generally speaking, the minimum recommendation is 0.7 grams, 0.7 grams per pound of your goal body weight. So let's say you weigh, let's say you weigh 250 pounds now, and your ultimate goal is 150. Well, then you would do 0.7 times 150, and that would be how much protein you need to eat on a daily basis. The reason the goal body weight is important, it's not because you need to weigh that in order to be successful, it's because it will show you generally what your lean body mass is. So if someone is 175 pounds and they want to get to 125, then that might be about where their lean body mass is. There are calculations to figure out what your lean body mass is, and what you'll find is the lean body mass and your goal weight are probably very, very close. But whenever I just give out equations and say, okay, so we're gonna find your LBM, you're gonna multiply it by this, most people just tune out and say, I'm not gonna fucking do it. So 0.7 times your goal weight is the minimum amount of protein I would like you to have on a daily basis. You're welcome to eat more than that as long as you're within your calories, but you do not have to eat more than that. And as long as you're getting that, you will absolutely have enough protein to drive muscle growth as long as you're training properly and sleeping well. And one more quick thing, just because you can undereat protein in the beginner phase doesn't mean you should undereat protein. The newbie gains that you'll get the first 6 months to a year of strength training are astronomical, and they will actually set the tone for the rest of your entire career in strength training, the rest of your life. So you want to maximize those as much as you possibly can. So I would say, while you don't need to eat as much protein in that phase, it's a very good idea to make sure that you're not under eating, because it will still inhibit muscle growth if you're not eating enough. So definitely make sure you're getting enough. That's it for this video. I hope you liked it. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you don't already. Have a wonderful day. I'll talk to you soon.